racing. He's been all around the world tuning cars, building engines, racing cars, everything in between. And it has culminated here in 2021 as he serves, I believe we can call him crew chief of his daughter Lizzie Musi's feared Camaro in No Prep Kings competition. He's somebody that I'm so excited is on television again because drag racing benefits from Pat Musi being in front of a camera. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Pat Musi, the Popeye himself, probably my favorite interview of all time. Let's give him a round of applause. What's up, Pat?
Hey,
Is
Pat.
he here? There he is.
Where's the music? We need the music.
Oh, yeah. Hold on real quick. Wait, real quick. Ready? Hold on. People's Court, baby. People's Court. We queued this sound effect up so we'd have it ready for you, Pat. I hope you don't beat the holy crap out of anybody here on the show today. What's going on, man? Where are you currently? Are you at GibTech? Are you you're out in where are you in Denver?
I'm in Denver, and I want to give a shout out. V Gaines, I finally I haven't seen him personally, face to face in a couple of years because of the COVID thing, and he just showed up right before we started this deal. But this is GibTech, Winberg, GRP. I'm in a little cubicle here, but they were nice enough. We kind of used up a motor against Ryan and had to kind of get that one squared away. So they opened doors and gave me the whole shop, and we got the motor done. We're loaded, so we're ready to roll. 5 more left, and we're on it. But to answer to your question about the Thick Skin Club, we have it. It's called Pat Musi Boot Camp. So if you make it to a year of boot camp working for me, which Elliot has, when it gets,
we need to get a badge made. Yeah. We need to get a badge made, or there needs to be like a temporary tattoo or something.
Yeah, I want to. Is there a shirt? I want the shirt.
Yeah, Mike's kind of made it through.
Oh, Pat, man, I tell you, I don't know that people are fully aware. I mean, the last time we were talking a few weeks ago, Lizzie had an unfortunate incident at Darlington, got her brand new Robert Hayes built Camaro into the wall there, tore it up pretty good. Fortunately, Lizzie was okay. Scary moment for the Musi family, but I would love for you to kind of let people know just all that has gone on in a relatively short amount of time, because I know it's been, people flying around left and right trying to get Bonnie, this car that Lizzie is quickly making famous, back in competition. So can you take us through a little bit of the process from Darlington to the winner's circle at Tucson Dragway?
Sure. It started out, one of the hard components was the front end, and I called Tori at Glassstack, who's a good supporter of ours. I told Tori I need a front end. He said, well, we're 14 weeks out. I said, I ain't going to get it. He said, well, let me see what I can do. And I'm thinking most we got is maybe 10 days. Calls me back. He says, can you be here Thursday? And I believe that was like on a Monday. We went and got it. And that was a key component. And then Robert Hayes never come up for air. I mean, he just burned the oil in 45 days. I was on the phone making sure he was never missing a part. It takes a lot. It takes a team, and I'm relentless, that. So I'm going to make sure we got everything covered, anything that can go wrong covered. We didn't have time to test, so we had that in the back of our head. Lizzie had driven. We put her right back in the old car, so she was kind of shook off the wreck deal, which is good for a driver. But, it's back in the same car, and we just come up with a combination. The whole crew worked on it. Just everybody, my guys, Elliot, all the guys at the shop, and then Kai Kelly's crew guy, Adam. I always struggle with his last name, Desajek, I think. And anyway, Adam West, we call him. He jumped in with Robert, and they kind of took over. They said, listen, worry about the motor. We got the back. And they got it. We come up with a good combination, and the thing's running. But a little note to make is that car was fast at Darlington. It was just one of them perfect storms. Lizzie was racing somebody as a driver, understand that. Looked over, he wasn't there. So she stood in it too long. She told me, Dad, I stayed in it too long. Lizzie, I get it. I'm a driver. We're not qualifying. I'd be mad. She'd be mad. We were racing, so it's going to happen. I get it. But we all bounce back as a team. I think 45 days from Darlington to the winner's circle is what we counted as pretty phenomenal, I think.
It's more than phenomenal. I mean, I think it's almost unbelievable, Pat. I mean, I mean, especially in an environment like you have. I mean, you mentioned it wasn't during qualifying because there's not qualifying, right? I mean, that's one of my things. One of the things about No Prep Kings that I'm actually a big fan of. A lot of these races across the country, they're kind of celebrated because there's extra qualifying, right? There's 4 rounds. Nope, this time there's 6. This time there's 8 rounds of qualifying or whatever, and that's fantastic. Whatever floats your boat. But man, you're talking a whole different animal when it's unload these cars and go drag race them. We're going right into eliminations. I think it's an exciting atmosphere that drag racing needs more of. Was there a moment over the course of the last weekend? I mean, for those that don't know, the No Prep Kings series kind of headed into your final stretch. We're 10 races into the season. You guys just visited our buddy Jim Hughes at Tucson Dragway. Was there a moment this past weekend, maybe during E1 or whenever you made a run in the card that you felt, you know what, we've got a car that can win again? I mean, we're right back where we were.
I'd say the first run we had a glitch. It went right, rear steer from Darlington. We had, rear Darlington always takes a little more rear steer. Forgot to take it out, went right. No big deal. Come back, but you're still nervous about the whole deal. Come back and had a glitch in the software. Trans brake didn't hold. That was the second round Friday night of the team race. Come up third round right then. From there, I said, we got a car can win. I knew it then. I just knew it. You feel it. You've been racing as long as I have. I knew we had a car to beat, and we just stayed with it. After first round on Saturday, I said, well, we got a driver's hard to beat and a car hard to beat. This is going to be a tough one for him.
It certainly looked like it was going to be a tough one for them, watching along from afar, getting reports from people, getting videos sent to us. It's like, you know what? I think Lizzie's going to be right back in the mix here. One of the things that we've got a lot to unpack here because we're getting a ton of following and we're getting a ton of questions from people. But I'm curious. Can you take us through a little bit? One of the things that, and there's been people believe that I don't support No Prep Kings racing or that I don't think it's high level racing, just tabling the competition. How much of a challenge and how much does it speak to the professionalism of these teams, Pat, to race 16 freaking times in a season? I don't know that people understand the pressure that is put on the stars of No Prep Kings racing. I mean, NHRA Pro Mod doesn't race 16 times a year. NHRA Pro Stock doesn't race this many races in a row, right? Where it's back to back to back. What does that say about not only yourself and your race program with Lizzie, but all of these people out here in No Prep Kings competition?
It's just hardcore. I mean, but I am hardcore. Everybody knows that. If they don't know it, they need to know it. But, like Lizzie is a driver. She's got a mic on her all the time. She's got to do interviews. I mean, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, and I don't think people get aside from the racing. But the racing is about as hardcore as it gets. Now, saying that, you probably got 10 of us that are really hardcore and are geared up to do it. You got some guys, unfortunately, you're always going to have them that need to catch up. They need to get up to speed. But, it's become what it is. We can't go back. Everybody knows that about this sport. You either got to get with it or stop whining and being a girl on a keyboard. And you know me, I'm like you. Where are you? I'll come meet you. So I don't answer. I was listening to Alex, which I'm proud of her. She did a good job. I will not comment on Facebook. I will say congratulations. This is as far as I go. Birthdays. But I will not get, because I don't know who I'm talking to. It's face to face when you see me.
Well, speaking of which, Pat, I mean, there's
we got
that
some
hardcore nature is something that's coming up a lot. We talked about this earlier in the week, Pat, in an off the record conversation, and we can always count on you to kind of tell us exactly how you feel. I admit that I wasn't aware of this situation, but I reached out to my buddy Chris, Boosted GT Hamilton, a longtime friend of the show here, longtime friend of Drag Illustrated. And I said, hey, man, there's clearly some controversy around this past weekend's No Prep Kings event. Can you take me through exactly what happened? And he said, hey, man, it's actually really cut and dry. by. There was a couple of teams that tested at the track 6 days prior to the event. It's written in the rules that you can't test at the track that you're going to be racing at. I think it's within like 200 miles of the track or something. And apparently this was brought to light, and I believe it was Birdman, as he's known, James Finney, and Mike Murillo were actually I don't know what, disqualified from competition. And I guess, are you the bad guy in all this somehow, Pat? I mean, how has this all come to be? Because it seems like everybody's mad at Pat Musi over it.
Well, they can, but I'm open. I'm in the pits. Come see me. But here's the way it started. Not explaining it. I'll just go through it really quick. So Kai pulled up to run Bird boys, Jerry Bird. They called each other out, which are done on all the teams. I mean, it's common in this no prep deal. And I guess Justin Schwarstrom seen an opening in the rules, which I really didn't know. You have to have your competitor in the other lane to get the points for first round. So they kind of sprung it on him last minute, not at the driver's meeting. I'm kind of used to something being brought up on a driver's meeting, but hey, he did what he had to do, and he got Kai's points taken from him first round. So I'm listening to this whole deal, and I'm trying to understand, are the rules done at the driver's meeting? Can we do them now? And then, which I was always looking at the rules guy and the producer of the show and boosted, for a heads up what's going on here. And I said, look, what does that mean that we can protest something right now that was already discussed at the driver's meeting? And that was brought up, the testing for Murillo and Birdman, whatever you call him. Dino's got a good name for him, but I won't bring it up anyway. So he said, no, absolutely. You can do it now. I said, well, I'm going to do it, and let's see who goes along with us. And before I could say anything, he said, the driver has to do it or the team has to do it. So I looked at Kai. He put his hand up. Everybody's hand up. And the funny thing is, there were 4 or 5 teams with their hands up. So my point was, if we're going to go by rules, then let's go by all the rules. So I said, Kai's not getting his points. Then now all of a sudden you're bringing these rules up. So let's go by the rules here. I know better. I would never test at a racetrack. NHRA, you know how long I've been racing, guys. So I would have never have done it. But obviously they did it. They got caught at it. They got a pass at the driver's meeting. But I would, kind of was the guy to say, no, we're not getting a pass. I'm doing it. We're doing it, but we did it as a team. I'll be the bad guy. I'm fine with it. I wouldn't withdraw. I asked Justin if he wanted to withdraw and then take it to the next race. He refused to withdraw. So I said, okay, fine. If we're going by the rules, let's go by the rules. So then I heard some rumblings. Well, those guys are on their way up here. So I walked out in the open. Boosted was there. I said, guys, I want you to know it's me. Don't blame these other guys. Here I am, face to face. Well, why do we have to be the bad guys? Why are you picking on us? I'm not picking on you. It's a rule, period. It's over, done. They can do what they want, but my protest stands, and that was it. So they had the opportunity to say something to me there. Instead, they looked at their shoes, went home, and now they're like little girls on a keyboard. So that's all I want to say. We'll leave it at that. You know me. I'll be in the pits at Denver. If maybe they forgot to say something, guys. I don't know, but they can come see me in the pits.
And to be honest with you, man, I mean, and Mike and I think we line up on this type of stuff, man. The rules are the rules. And it's like, I had a lot of people shoot us messages going, well, hey, several people had broken that rule throughout the course of the season or whatever. But I don't know that really makes it. I mean, that doesn't make it okay to do it. I mean, the rules are there for a reason. And to your point, Pat, anybody that's followed NHRA drag racing, I mean, it's a cardinal sin. I mean, you are not allowed to test at the facility,
which
that
is
you're
kind of
it's
a big deal that they're testing for the Stampede of Speed this week, because it never happens. But it's crazy to see how passionate people are about this No Prep Kings deal, and it's awesome. And Pat, you're not going to want to look at these comments. You're going to have a lot of addresses to visit, or a lot of people need to come to your pits after this. But just speak to that passion. You're obviously a passionate guy, and you're going harder now at nearly 70 years old than you did when you were in your 30s or 40s or whatever running pro stock. So, I mean, what drives you and what motivates you about this No Prep Kings deal to go as hard as you do with this crazy schedule, cross country, back and forth, and the whole deal?
Well, it's become really competitive, really good racing. I feel I got the best driver I could put in a car because of her weight and the time we've spent together as a team. We've assembled the best crew. Everybody knows we got the best power. I mean, and I'm not bragging about that. I'm just telling you, when it comes to a nitrous engine, I think we've got our game plan down. We got a killer car Robert Hayes built and our crew. I mean, we're tough to beat. So when you see an opportunity in this game, you need to jump on it. So, and I've always done that my whole career. If I see an opening, I'm taking it. Just like if I see a weakness in a driver, you know, I hear them once in a while. These drivers will say, "Well, it takes me a while to stage." Don't tell me that. Whatever you think, don't tell me that. You know. So, um, again, I'm not going to change. I'm 70 almost, and it'll be real tough. I'm hardcore to the bone, you know. And Lizzie knows that. She's seen me. I mean, she kind of shrugs sometimes, but she's learned a lot. I've seen the drivers, like I said, approach her, and they said, "Ain't you going to step in?" You know, I don't like my driver talking to the other driver before we're going to run. Never did, you know. And no, she knows what she's doing, and I've seen her. Yeah, okay, and do the opposite. So she knows. We talk scenarios for years and hours, and you know what can happen on the start line. You know, and she's become a good driver. It's hard to get in her head. So we got a whole, like I said, a team, a driver, the whole deal. And I see an opening to be competitive, and we're gonna keep the pedal down.
How much has this impacted? I mean, one of the things that I remember as you became the preeminent, like the dominant nitrous engine builder in our sport, that was like largely something that was going on in PDRA competition, NMCA. I mean, there was a time, or excuse me, NHRA, NMCA, all these other sanctions and series. What do you see in terms of, you know, with the No Prep Kings from a business standpoint, Pat? I mean, I think there are a lot of people that are of the opinion that like, hey, it's great, go on there, you're going to sell a bunch of hats and T-shirts. But I think it's been bigger than that for not only yourself and Lizzie, but Pat Musi Racing Engines. I mean, is this part of drag racing, this segment of drag racing, a business opportunity in your opinion?
Yes, because it pushes our brand. But I do want to say something. And like you said, everybody's on the fence of where they want to be. Look, it's great for the whole sport.
Yes.
You know, we're out there racing. We're showing a whole new audience what we do. I just can't believe the opportunity. Guys need to get on board. The sponsors have realized it. I can tell you that. You know, I mean, the power of TV. I mean, you go back to me and Tony Christian, that Pro Street deal would have never been the rivalry as popular without the horsepower TV deal. So the TV deal is huge. But I just see an opportunity to get the word out of what we do, you know, and then Discovery's done such a good job at, you know, I was always, well, they're not going to air this till later. Everybody knows who won. You know what? By the time they air it, we forgot who won, first of all. I do. And then they turn it into this reality show. It's amazing at the editing that goes on. And you just want to watch it. You want to see how it's going to turn out. Hey, I might turn out to be the good guy, the bad guy. I really don't care. You know that. So,
but it's good. Like a high tide lifts all boats, right? I mean,
it's good that they've got you there too, Pat. Like we talked about opening, it's good for TV that someone is willing to play the bad guy, if you want to put it that way, or just the, you know, the family aspect, like we talked about with you and Lizzie. Alex Taylor, who we had on previously, talked about how her and her father, they are good at different aspects of the business of drag racing, or, you know, how her father builds the cars and tunes the car or whatever. He's the gearhead and she focuses on promotion and business. How's the relationship with you and Lizzie as far as what each of you are good at and how you guys work together? Because you're obviously both very passionate individuals. So how does that work?
it's great. And I call father-daughter time, you know, and my wife, Liz, I mean, she doesn't want it any other way. We're out there racing, you know, and it's just really a great deal for our family and for our business and for the whole deal. But I just want to see the sport grow. Sometimes it goes backwards a little bit, and we have fan base. And that's something I want to take a second out here. I might not comment to you guys, but you guys are my fans, and I appreciate all the comments. But understand, if I answer one, then I get the bed. Which I got to tell you, I listen to Alex, and she's got more patience than I got. And I give her a lot of credit for answering them, but I won't answer them. We'll see them at the races sooner or later. And but I do appreciate our fan base. I just want all you guys to know that. Lizzie does. I do. And I don't want to seem like the hard guy, but when it comes to me, I want to see some legitimacy brought to this deal, and there is. And I didn't realize they had many of these rules. I had to listen. Boosted helped me. The rules guy helped me. The producer helped me through that whole deal. I wanted to understand what was going on before I opened my mouth. But we need to. I really like the fact that they have some legitimacy in place for this deal because it needs it. But it's helping the whole sport in general. We're out. We're in front of a whole new audience. It's amazing.
Pat, one of the things that we hear a lot that I'd love to hear you comment on is that, I mean, and we're seeing it in our comments right now, is that there's this belief that everything that happens on No Prep Kings is scripted. I mean, you talked about, the editing that goes on and the way they tell a story, but the racing itself, I mean, I know we've talked about this before, but I would love to hear you kind of drive the point home that, and I'm not trying to be I'm not waving the flag here. I'm not trying to be the guy that drives this point home, but I do think I'm a little tired of the notion that all of this is decided. This isn't Monster Jam. This is not a soap opera. I mean, the competition is real, right?
Absolutely. I mean, take the Ryan Martin run. We ran that. We're here working on that motor now because we had to run it as hard as we could run it. There is no scripted. We're racing. Let's take Kai and Lizzie in the final. I kept getting asked, are you going to lay down? No, John Force doesn't lay down against Robert Hyde or vice versa. Or, we're here racing. We're going to race. And I think we proved that. There's nothing scripted. I can tell you that. Are there, the way the rules are, first round on a call out, can a guy get a bye run? Yes, that goes on. But listen, it going in. That's what you deal with. These are the rules. But, when I heard rules are being broken for some, not for others, no, that ain't happening. Not around me, not on my watch, So I made a statement. It could have went either way, but I stuck with it. And I like the fact that I hope I'm bringing some credibility to the whole deal. We need that. I mean, it's a hardcore deal. We're racing hard.
When you look at the competition out there right now, I mean, it was a few years ago, we saw like a bunch of like back half cars that were, the technology, let's be honest, was a little lesser than what it is today. I mean, I'm not trying to take shots, but like the cars and the type of racing that Street Outlaws was built on the back of were, back half, fast bracket cars that are being raced heads up on the street or whatever. Now we're seeing purpose built Jerry Bickle race cars, Robert Hayes race cars, 110, 112 inch wheelbase, like real deal race cars. Now, they may have steel roof and quarters, but these are as good of a race car as money can buy right now. You said this earlier, and I think it was a fantastic, like super spot on comment. You can't put the rabbit back in the hat, right? But what's your take on the future of No Prep Kings, and what do you make of the competition level we've arrived at? I mean, we got Justin Swanstrom in the comments here. I mean, he's got a Pro Charge latest, greatest Hemi. I mean, that's something that you'd see in Jose Gonzalez's car. You're out there with the latest, greatest nitrous stuff. I mean, this is not your dad's street racing.
No, it's not. The only comment you made was the wheelbase. They have to be within 2 inches.
Oh yeah, they do have to be stock wheelbase. Yeah,
they are purpose-built cars, but I'd like to see it not reeled in. But okay, guys, now we got it. We got a good deal. You have to have a purpose-built car, but these are the rules. Let's follow the rules. Let's keep the. If you look at that Bonnie car, it looks like a '69 Camaro lowrider. I mean, that's Robert Hayes. He wanted that look. Lizzie wanted that look. I wanted that look. Looks like the old Popeye pro street car. I want to try to maintain that. I don't want them looking like pro mod cars, so we're different. But yes, the chassis are as good as it gets. Suspension and shocks, and like you said, the motor, the best of the best. But they've all got it. It's not like they don't have the opportunity. They all have it. I mean, Ryan Martin's car is the best of the best. Kai's is the best of the best. I mean, do the other guys need to get with their program? I'll tell you something more important than having the parts. I'm here since Monday rebuilding an engine, and I'm hearing these guys are out there. I don't know what they're doing, but they need to get to work. I mean, the work ethic is what I mean, my old man, it was funny when my old man hit like 70s, he would wear teenagers out that came in. I used to think to myself, now here I am wearing them out, look at me. I just never give up, never quit. So that's one thing that I'd like to see more of is these guys need to get to work. We're doing a job. We're entertainers at the end of the day. Vinny Knapp, who is a good friend on Englishtown, always booked me at match races because of the way I come across. You're entertaining fans. I mean, we're racing, but we're also entertaining fans, and it takes hard work. You got to work at it, So the work part of it is what I think some of the teams need to get. Like I said, this keyboard deal, it wasn't my generation. I mean, you're not going to rebuild your motor on the keyboard. I can tell you that. So get to work, guys. That's what we're doing. We're here working. Haven't let up the pedal since we left Tucson, come to V's place, and V Games was nice enough to open the doors. That's one thing I'm blessed with. Through the years, I've made relationships that both of you guys know are hard to get. I mean, Edelbrock, Lucas, all of them, they think it's easy, but these are 20-year deals that I've known people. It takes a long time to get relationships. We have associate sponsors. I mean, just everybody that helps us is just crazy, but it takes a long time to get them. You don't just get them. Like Alex said, it's hard work, and being diligent.
Well, Pat, talking about that in your history and how long you've been at it, there was a little bit of history in Tucson, right? Tell us a little bit about your history there and how Lizzie's win kind of repeated that.
My battery, I think, is going to go dead, but I hope it doesn't go dead, guys. On you. I didn't check my phone.
That's all right, brother.
So 1981, probably a lot of our viewers, they'll have to Google it. Dino Don Nicholson, I beat him in the final at Tucson in Pro Stock Eliminator, and it was
got a shot of the trophy right here.
Won it. So 40 years later, here I am crewing my daughter's car, and she wins a major event, which is the No Prep Kings from Tucson, and I just thought it was cool. 40 years, an even number, it was just one of them killer moments. So
in the same lane, right?
Same
You're both
lane,
in
the
right
left lane. Nicholson was in the right lane, and I actually beat him on a hole shot. Let me tell you something about that's another thing. I guess that's where I get my hardcore. I grew up with these old guys. I was 20 some years old, and they're in their 60s, and I mean, look, you race against Roy Hill. You talk about having thick skin. You get through boot camp. So I went through the Bob Gooden, the Roy Hill, all the boot camp, Warren Johnson, all of them. They were hard on me, as hard as they could be. That was their job, but I learned a lot. So maybe people should, instead of bad mouthing what I do sometimes, learn a little bit. I'm trying to, this is not a game. Like I made the comment when we have to swap that motor, we're in a hurry, and Lizzie said, go easy on these guys. Lizzie, we're at war right now. You understand that? It's war. We're not racing. This is war. And she looked up and she kind of got it. My guys got it. And they just dug in harder. Racing is tough, and it's a tough business. So like you said at the beginning, you can't have thin skin.
No, and I tell you, I think a lot of people, that is something that gets lost in our sport a little bit, because I've talked to television producer types before, and people from the marketing world or whatever. And a lot of times they would look at like NHRA and some of the other like major sanctions in our sport, and they would go, Wes, it's almost too squeaky clean for its own good. Like we need to embrace the competition aspect. Like we can all be friends and we can all be respectful people and we can go to dinner after the fact, but like we need you to demonstrate, to your point, Pat. I mean, you're at war out here. I mean, you're supposed to want to win, and we need you to show us that you want to win. And I think that we're kind of in a time, maybe in all of society, but specifically in drag racing, where no one wants to be the bad guy. No one wants to kind of say what they think because they're afraid of the repercussions and they're afraid of the ramifications. But man, if you're going to stand out here in this day and age, if you're going to rise to the top, I mean, you got to be loud and proud about it, right? I mean, and I think people confuse, I say this all the time, but being humble isn't thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself less, right? I mean, that's being humble is pulling over, opening a door for a woman, right? Being humble is knowing where you came from, but that doesn't mean you can't be proud of what you're capable of or proud of what you've accomplished. And I just hope that if anybody takes anything away from this conversation with you, Pat, and and taking advantage of these opportunities. I mean, you named it. You're taking advantage of the No Prep Kings opportunity the same way you took advantage of the Pro Street opportunity. And you've used those moments and those opportunities. You've put yourself out there. And I don't know that there are many. Who else in Door Slammer drag racing has the following and has the name recognition of Pat Musi? Mike, anybody? I mean, there are very few, and we all know you. The whole world, people that have never met you know Pat Musi because you've put yourself out there for 40 years, man. And I just hope you know that we appreciate it. It's because of people like you that Mike and I and JT and everybody at Drag Illustrated get to do what we do. And I hope that some of the Pat Musi charm rubs off on these folks.
I do too. I want to pass it on. I pass it on to Lizzie. I just want to say one more thing. If my battery goes dead, don't hold it against me.
We won't
bring a charger in here, but we'll keep going until the battery lives and you guys want to go. But yeah, I hope these guys they can learn more than bad mouthing, just watch, get to work, learn something.
I agree, man. It's being a storyteller and being willing to put yourself out there. That's why I asked Alex Taylor that question, because young people, I mean, I can say this for myself, putting yourself out there and having to deal with the fallout or whatever of whatever you say, it makes a huge difference. I mean, you've got to be willing to put yourself out there. And I think that's what No Prep Kings has done so excellently. Is they have introduced us to this cast of characters. You've got people you love to hate. It's incredible. I mean, we've done this show. This is our 236th or 226th episode of this show. And I'm telling you, we get more feedback and more comments when we talk No Prep Kings because everybody's got a stance. Right? Yeah. I mean, we talked about the NHRA national event in St. Louis, and this isn't a shot, and people take this stuff differently. I'm not trying to bag on anybody, but we talked about the NHRA national event, and nobody was on here saying Steve Torrance sucks or Erica Enders for president, but like we know more than start talking about No Prep Kings, and all these Justin Swanstrom fans are on here hating you, and all these Mike Murillo fans are on here hating you, and all these Pat Musi fans are on here hating them. And I'm not trying to like spread discourse, but this is good for drag racing,
this is
man.
What we need. It's so funny how that it just like a light switch flipped, and that's exactly what we're preaching on here. Is we need more of that, and that's why I think, like we talked about, Pat's willing to embrace that. That's why he's a good fit on the show. I give credit to the producers of the show also for seeing that and sort of. I think when people are looking at how do you get on No Prep Kings, how do you get on Street Outlaws, what's the secret here? I think this is the secret is being willing to put yourself out there and being the total package. It doesn't matter if you just dominate on the track and then go off into a black hole and no one hears from you. It takes both sides of it. And I think we've had two good examples of that today with Alex and with Pat.
Pat, last question before your phone dies. And this is I'm going to steal this from my buddy Clay Milliken. For those of you that don't know, Clay does a show on Facebook that's fantastic. He has an incredible YouTube channel. Clay Milliken, top fueled superstar, is on here watching along right now. And one of the questions he always asks on his show, Pat, is like, if you were king for a day, what would you do when it comes to drag racing or whatever? And I want to kind of reframe that. If there was one person that exists in drag racing that you could bring into the fold with No Prep Kings, who would it be?
It's funny because he's got 3 girls. You're going to laugh. Bring John Force. We need him. We need it. He says what, look, if you don't want to know the answer, don't ask Pat. If you don't want to know the answer, don't ask John. I would love to have him on the show one time. But yeah, if I can
That's
get
exactly
to
what
the
we
day,
wanted.
that'd be
Thank
it.
you. Because I always wonder that, because I always like, I daydream about this stuff, and I'm like, man, if we could grab this guy and that guy and bring them into the fold, how do you think Ricky Smith would do in the No Prep Kings environment? Ricky's somebody you've raced with a lot. I personally feel Ricky, when it comes to door slammer drag racing, is the greatest of all time.
Ricky was on here earlier. He said he thinks he could play the bad guy pretty well too.
Yeah, he's got a penchant for being the bad guy. How do you think Ricky would do in that environment, Pat?
After he got over the shock of what goes on, which took me a little bit, he'd be just fine. He could take it and he can give it out. I could take it, I can give it out. He'd be another one. That'd be great. But
I don't think Ricky gets enough of time to.
Sometimes I'll look over and I'll go, can you imagine if this guy was there? Remember that guy was there? They wouldn't believe what's going on here. But it is what it is. But now I'm glad some of the rules came to light, so I'm aware of them. And Boosted was, by the way, thank you, was a great help. And the producer, and I think he's called Compliance, who does the rules. They all were fair about it, explained it to me, and I didn't just come off half-cocked. I wanted to know what was going on, and it is what it is. But, yeah, we need some of them faces once in a while, some special guests come in, it would be great.
It would be cool,
Yeah.
man. It would.
Ricky
be cool.
doesn't get enough of a stage anymore, really, to show his personality, just the way the NHRA program rolls. So I think that would actually be pretty cool.
Ricky Smith on network television is a victory. That would be fantastic. Well, Pat, thank you so much for the time. Get back out there and get that Pat Musi Bullet 959 put back together, and get Lizzie a hot rod that's ready to race.
Ready to go.
Hey, man, we appreciate you so much. Tell everybody out there at Western Motorsports, V Gaines, and all the crew at GibTech, Winberg, all those guys, Madcap, tell them, hey, from us, we appreciate your time, Pat. And I hope to, I'm actually going to come to the No Prep Kings in Ennis in a few weeks. So look for me. I'm going to come hang out.
Come on, hang out. I'll make you laugh anyway. So.
Oh, that's a fact. Thank you, Pat. We appreciate you, brother.
Pat.
Thank you, guys.